At Highlands, we believe that faith is a journey best traveled together. We exist to help people experience life with Jesus, because at Highlands, we believe life with Jesus is the best way to live. Our vision is simple, yet powerful. Make disciples, love our communities, change the world. So come as you are and discover why so many say Highlands is home.
Well, hello everybody, and welcome to Highlands Fellowship Online. Whether you're watching on TV or Facebook or YouTube, or maybe you're watching on the Highlands Fellowship Online campus, or even live in the app, wherever you're watching from, we want to say welcome home, because Highlands is home. And if we haven't met, my name is Tim. I'm the digital pastor here at Highlands Fellowship, and I just want to say thank you for joining us today. And listen, I want to ask you to do two things for me. Number one, whether you've been here, this is your first time, or you've been here 100 times, will you send a text to the number on the screen right here and just text the word HERE, H-E-R-E. That lets me know that you're here today and you're watching, because there's so many people that watch every single week, and we don't know who you are if you don't tell us who you are. So please, it's how we can serve you best. So text and let me know that you're watching today. And the second thing I'd like to ask is, take a minute and invite some friends to watch you however you're tuning in today. Whether you're watching online, you can just send a link, or on YouTube or Facebook or wherever. Or if you're watching on TV, shoot a text to a friend and say, hey, turn into channel whatever and join us as I watch Highlands Fellowship. I'd love to watch with you. It is the easiest way to invite someone to hear the good news of Jesus this Christmas season. So please do those two things. Text and let me know you're here. Send an invite to your friends. And listen, it is Christmas this week. I am so excited. We're going to sing some Christmas songs. We're going to have some time of worship. We've got an incredible message from Pastor Tim about how to deal with the storms in your life and how you can have peace in those storms. So I'll be back right after the message.
Welcome into church today. We're so glad you're here.
Echoing their joyous strain. Our King has come. Let's worship our King this season. Yeah. Behold, the King has come, divinity incarnate, creator of the world, is breathing our air. Behold, what light has come, and the dark cannot contain it. The Savior of the world is finally here. Oh, come, let us adore Him. Come, let us adore Him. For He alone is worthy, Christ the Lord. He's the Lord.
Behold the Father's love, beyond all comprehension. He gave His only Son to die in our place.
Go and see the empty tomb. He's not there, for He is risen. Every heart prepare Him room. Jesus Christ, the King of heaven. Oh, come, let us adore Him. Come, let us adore Him. For He alone is worthy, Christ the Lord. We'll give You all the glory. We'll give You all the glory. We'll give You all the glory, Christ the Lord. We give You all the glory. We give You all the glory. We give You all the glory, Christ the Lord. We praise Your name forever. We praise Your name forever. We praise Your name forever, Christ the Lord. Oh, come, let us adore Him. Come, let us adore Him. For He alone is worthy, Christ. Oh, come, let us adore Him. For He alone is worthy, Christ the Lord. Christ the Lord. He is Christ the Lord.
Oh, the perfect Son of God, in all His innocence, here walking in the dirt with You and me. He knows what living is, Your cross, my freedom, your stripes, my healing, all praise, King Jesus. Glory to God in heaven, your blood still speaking, your love still reaching, all praise, King Jesus. Glory to God forever. Your cross, my freedom, your stripes, my healing, all praise, King Jesus. Glory to God in heaven, your blood still speaking, your love still reaching, all praise, King Jesus. Glory to God forever. Glory to God forever. Be near me, Lord Jesus. I ask thee to stay close by me forever and love me, I pray. Bless all the dear children in thy tender care, and fit us for heaven to live with thee there. Away in a manger, no crib for a bed, the little Lord Jesus lay down his sweet head. The stars in the sky looked down where he lay. The little Lord Jesus asleep on the hay.
Could have been a night just like this one. The air filled with anticipation. And that light, so bright in the night sky that it beckoned for shepherds and wise men to follow. Imagine to their surprise when they arrive and find a tiny baby laying in a manger, surrounded with nothing more than farm animals. You see, they knew that something beyond comprehension had just transpired. The hope of all mankind has just shown up before them. That Jesus, although a baby, had come for you and for me. He came to give us a hope and a future. He came so that no matter what circumstances we find ourselves in, all we have to do is call on his name and we would be saved. This is the story of Christmas. This is the story of the greatest gift ever given. The story of a king, the savior of the world, born in a manger for you and for me. God is with us.
Merry Christmas, everybody, and welcome to Highlands Fellowship. For those of you at Bristol, Marion, Bluefield, here in Abingdon, those of you joining us online or on TV, I want to say I'm so glad that you're here. And if you're new with us, welcome, welcome, welcome. Today we're in our third and final week of our series called God With Us, but this isn't the last message of this series. I'm actually going to be continuing this message series by giving you the final message on Tuesday night at our Christmas Eve candlelight service. And I'm telling you, this is not something that you want to miss. So invite your friends, invite your families, actually look around your life and let God speak to you and prompt you to reach out to some people in your life who might not normally attend church. But I can't wait to see you there on Tuesday evening for our Christmas candlelight service. I think it's going to be a great time. Can't wait to spend that time with you. But let's jump right into the message today by reading the verse from Matthew's Gospel. And it's the verse that has been the launching pad for each of our messages in this series, and we'll continue to do that today. It's in Matthew chapter 1, verse 23, and it says this: "The virgin will conceive and give birth to a son, and they will call him Emmanuel," which means God with us. So we're talking about the presence of God in the different seasons of life. because we experience God really in different ways based on what we're going through in our lives. The first week, we talked about the presence of God in the middle of the valleys, the hard times in life. We learned a key principle that we celebrate God on the mountaintops, but we actually learn his heart. We learn his character in the valleys. And we also learned that the valley is oftentimes the road that God uses to lead us into peace. Last week, we talked about God in the wilderness. God often whispers in the wilderness. And why does God so often whisper to us? Well, he whispers because he's close. We learned the valuable principle last week that when your deepest need actually pushes you toward God, it becomes a gift to you. And today, what I want to do is I want to talk about God's presence in the storms of life. God's presence in the storms of life. And I used to hear people say something fairly often, and it was always a bit discouraging to me, by the way, but it was actually true. And I found myself saying it as well. They'd say something like this: you're either coming out of a storm, you're in the middle of a storm, or you're about to go into a storm. In other words, life can be really difficult. That's not encouraging, but it really is true. And it seems like you're either coming out of a difficult time, you're in the middle of one, or oftentimes there are difficult and painful things that are about to come your way. And these are things that happen because we live in a fallen world. And where is God when these storms hit? Is God with us when the winds are loud and when the ground feels unsteady beneath our feet and when the forecast doesn't look very good? Is God with us in the storms? And we don't have to look very far to understand storms, do we? I mean, our country, and even here locally, we have seen plenty of storms over the past few years. Massive storms that leave real damage behind. And one thing that's always been a little strange to me is how we name storms after people. You know, and we haven't always named storms after people. For a long time, we didn't. And then in the 1950s, meteorologists decided that naming storms after people was a good idea. And what I've learned is that when a storm is especially destructive, that name actually gets retired and never to be used again on a storm. Now here's the thing. While we don't need to name our storms, we all know what it's like to be going through one, to be caught in one. And when you're in it, the only thing that you really want is for it to pass over. For the winds to just calm down and to die down, for the damage to stop, for life to feel steady again. But storms don't have to have labels in order for them to be real. We still feel that they're heavy and they're painful and they're exhausting. And in those moments, the question is God still with me here? Is God still with me here? And that's what this series is about. Not a God who watches storms from a distance, but a God who is with us, even when the skies are dark and the storm hasn't even passed yet. And unfortunately, some of you are in a storm right now. Some of you are in a storm right now, and you're saying, I just wish that I could get through storm divorce, or I just wish that I could get through storm depression, or I just wish that I could get through this financial storm, or I just wish that I could get through this relational storm, whatever it happens to be. And sometimes we find ourselves in the middle of real pain, and what we want is for that storm just to go away. What do you do when you're in the middle of a storm? Unfortunately, a lot of people, when it comes to God, they'll often blame God for the storm, or they'll question where God is. Why is God allowing this? And I don't understand. Where is God in this storm? And so here's our key thought for today. Here's our key thought. Never let the storm around you make you doubt that God is with you. Let me say that again. Never let the storm around you make you doubt that God is with you. I want to look today in Acts chapter 27, and that's where we'll spend most of our time today, is in the book of Acts, the 27th chapter. And we're going to look at some men who are in a boat in the middle of a massive, crazy storm. And the storm went on for several days. The crew was so terrified. They were starting to throw cargo overboard, and they just believed that this storm was actually going to be the storm that would take them out. And this was a storm that they thought they would not survive. So we pick up the story in Acts chapter 27, verse 20, and it says this: "When neither sun nor stars appeared for many days, and the storm continued raging." I wonder how many of you would use that phrase for something you're going through right now. Just won't stop. The storm continued raging. And then they said, "We finally gave up all hope of being saved." And that phrase really gets to me because I talk to people all the time that have just given up hope. They've given up all hope. There's just no way our marriage is going to make it. There's no way that I'll ever climb out of this financial hole that we've dug. There's just no way that I'm going to be able to beat this cancer. I'm going to spend my whole life alone. We're never, ever, ever going to be able to conceive. We've battled this for so long. After what happened, I'm never going to be able to move forward. And they have given up all hope. It says the storm continued to rage and they gave up all hope. And verse 21 says this: "After they had gone a long time without food, Paul, the apostle Paul, he stood up before them and said, 'Men, you should have taken my advice not to sail from Crete.'" Now, when you hear this, how many of you just want to hit Paul when he says something like that, right? You jerk, you're on the boat with us. "Men, you should have taken my advice. Then you would have spared yourself all of this damage and all of this loss." And now Paul, he's just a regular guy, all right? As spiritual as he was not above doing what so many of us love to do when we know that we're right, and that's telling people, "I told you so." We love doing that, don't we? And if you had just listened to my advice, you wouldn't be in the middle of the storm that you're in. Why were they in the storm? Well, they were in the storm because it was their own fault, right? Because they made a decision to go out when the environment was risky. Have you ever noticed that sometimes in Christian circles, so many people love to blame the devil for everything? It's the devil's fault. It's the devil's fault. The devil did this and the devil did that. And listen, I get what they're saying. But it gets to a point where it's like, you know what? Sometimes it's your own fault. It's your own fault. And I know there are a few of you that are probably trying to resist elbowing somebody that's sitting right next to you, right? Listen to the guy, it's your fault. You need to listen to this. But sometimes when you're in the middle of a storm, you're in the middle of the storm because you spent too much money. Sometimes you're in the middle of the storm because your emotions got the best of you and you said something that you shouldn't have said. Sometimes you're in the middle of the storm because you procrastinated and you put it off. It's not the devil's fault that you missed the deadline or you didn't pass your test, all right? It's your fault for not doing what was necessary to get it done, or waiting too long to study, waiting too late to study. Sometimes you're in the storm because everybody else told you not to date him. Your mama told you not to date him. Your daddy told you not to date him. Your pastor told you not to date him. Even your fortune cookie told you not to date him, your best friend. And you argued back, right? But he's got so much potential. He's just got so much potential. Well, he's got potential to ruin your life. That's what he's got. And you dated him anyway, or you dated her anyway. Sometimes you're in the middle of the storm because it's your own fault. Maybe that's why they gave up hope, because it was their own fault. Now, I don't know about you, but I think it's easier for me to believe that God will get me out of a storm when God is the one who got me in that storm than it is for me to believe that God will get me out of a storm that I got myself into, right? This is my fault. I don't even deserve to be rescued. And the storm continued to rage, and they gave up all hope. Now, there are some people on the boat that it probably wasn't their fault. Like if you can imagine, I don't know how big this crew was, but let's just say that there were probably a few guys on there, and they probably said, "Hey, Paul's saying that we shouldn't go. We probably shouldn't go." But the captain said, "We're going. Get on the boat." And so they ended up there on the boat, and they're in the middle of the storm, and it might not have been their fault. I mean, how many of you have ever been in the middle of a storm that wasn't your fault? And you don't have to point to the person next to you, right? You don't have to point to them. Just acknowledge it. You've been in a storm that wasn't your fault. Sometimes as a kid, your parents, maybe they end up divorcing, and you're in the middle of that storm, and that wasn't your fault. Your company made all sorts of bad decisions, and they ended up having to downsize, and you're a casualty of that, and you're in the middle of a storm, and it wasn't your fault. You trusted somebody. They gave you their word, and you took them at their word. You thought that they would do what they said they would do, but they didn't deliver. And then one day, you're in a storm, and it wasn't your fault. Whatever the case may be, when you're in the middle of a storm, sometimes it's so easy just to give up hope. The storm continued to rage, and they gave up all hope. Never let the storm around you make you doubt that God is with you. This is what Paul said in Acts chapter 27, verse 22. He says, "But now I urge you to keep up your courage." And I want to say that to some of you who need to hear this. Keep your courage. Keep your faith. The storm is not going to take you down. He says, keep your courage, because not one of you will be lost. Only the ship will be destroyed. Then in verse 23, he says, "Last night an angel of the God to whom I belong and whom I serve stood beside me." And I want to stop there for just a moment. You're in the middle of a boat, and an angel stands beside you. An angel of the Lord stands right beside you. And you may not be aware of this, but I believe with all of my heart that what we see with our physical eyes is not all that there is. Like there is a spiritual battle. There is a spiritual world that goes beyond what we have the ability to be able to see. And there is a spiritual battle going on all the time. In fact, right now, there is a battle going on for your soul. I believe that. I believe it with everything in me. But imagine that you're in the middle of a storm and the presence of God is with you in this moment. You have no idea all of the different ways that God is with you. He could be with you in the form of a supernatural being, like an angel. He is with you in the form of his spirit. Like if you're a follower of Jesus, his spirit actually dwells within you. He goes before you. Our God is already in tomorrow. And we think about time. Well, he's not bound by time. He hears your prayers. He comforts you in your hurts. He's directing you when you're lost. Like you have no idea all of the different ways that God is doing things during the storms of your life. And Paul says, "An angel of the Lord stood beside me in the middle of the storm." Never let the storm around you make you doubt that God is with you. And so let me show you a few verses from the Bible that I believe speak directly to this. And these aren't in the story that we've been talking about, but these have the same image of the Lord being by my side. So this is what Paul told Timothy in 2 Timothy chapter 4, verses 16 and 17. He said, "At my first offense, no one came to my support, but everyone deserted me. And may it not be held against them." But listen to this. "But the Lord stood at my side and gave me strength, so that through me the message might be fully proclaimed, and all the Gentiles might hear it. And I was delivered from the lion's mouth." Some of you, you're going to realize this. In what you're going through right now, the Lord has not left you. Like he is still with you. He is still at your side. He is still giving you strength to fulfill what it is that he's called you to do. David said this in the Old Testament in Psalm chapter 16, verse 8. He said, "I know the Lord is always with me. I will not be shaken, for he is right beside me." It's all about who's beside you, who's with you. And when you realize that God is with you, it changes your posture, it changes your mood, it really builds your faith, and it redirects your mindset. It's all about who is with you. And when you recognize that even though you're right in the middle of the storm, the Lord is right beside you, He is with you, and He strengthens you, it changes how you ride out the storm. It really does. It's all about who's in the boat in the middle of the storm. Because of who is with me, it changes my mindset. It changes my posture. It changes my demeanor. It really changes the confidence that I have as I walk through. In fact, in the New Testament, there's a powerful story about the disciples being in a different boat during a different storm. And what's funny about this one is that Jesus was actually asleep underneath the deck in that boat, and the disciples did what we so often do in the middle of a storm. They absolutely freaked out. This isn't fair. We're going to die. Jesus, where are you? Why don't you care? Aren't you going to do anything about this? This isn't good. I don't like where this is going. And Jesus wakes up and He comes up on the deck and He says, why are you so afraid? Ye of little faith. And Jesus says, peace, be still. And they experience peace in the boat. And why did they experience peace in the boat? It's because Jesus was on the boat. I want you to listen to me. True peace isn't about life being without storms. It's about being in the presence of Jesus. True peace isn't found in a life without trouble. Like, you're never going to have a trouble-free life. Following Jesus doesn't mean that bad days don't happen. I mean, that's bad theology to think that following Jesus means that bad things don't happen, because they certainly do. Jesus said in John chapter 16, verse 33, I have told you these things so that in me you might have peace. In this world, He says, you will have trouble. Like, you will have trouble. That's a guarantee from Jesus. He says, but take heart, He said. I have overcome the world. True peace isn't about life being without storms. It's found in the presence of Jesus. He's with me. He's right beside me. He'll never leave me. He'll never forsake me. Look at Acts chapter 27, verse 23 again, and then verse 24. I want you to see what Paul said here. He said, last night, an angel of the God to whom I belong and whom I serve stood beside me, in verse 24, and said, do not be afraid, Paul. You must stand trial before Caesar, and God has graciously given you the lives of all who sail with you. In other words, you can't go down in this battle, Paul, because God has more battles for you to fight. And you need to hear this today. You can't go down in the battle that you're struggling with. You can't go down in the storm because God has more for you to do. Like, He's not finished with you yet. And if you're not dead, you're not done. God has more people for you to love. He's got more opportunities for you to serve other people. He's got more opportunities that He's going to call you to be a blessing to others. You're not going down in this one. The ship may go down, but this storm will not take you out. In fact, God will use what you learn in this storm to prepare you to help others who are going through their storms. I absolutely love this. There's a purpose in the storm. The storm, it didn't surprise God. He's doing something in you. He's speaking to you. He's strengthening you. He's deepening your roots. And He will use what you learn in your storm to help somebody else go through theirs. And one day you'll say, I've been through a storm just like that. We survived unfaithfulness in our marriage. You can survive unfaithfulness in yours as well. We overcame financial hardship. We did what was right. We climbed out of the debt. You can climb out of debt as well. I used to be in bondage to this or to that, but by the grace of God through Jesus Christ, He set me free, and the same Jesus who set me free can set you free too. And suddenly, you start to become a testimony for the presence of God who never leaves you in the middle of a storm. God is doing something. He really is. He's working in you. And you don't always know it when you're in the middle of the storm, but on the other side of the storm, when you're safe, you might say, as you often look back, whew, I wouldn't want to go through that ever again. Wouldn't want anybody else I know to have to go through something like that. But I would never, ever trade it for the intimacy, the spiritual depth, the character, the trust, the faith in my God that is a result of being in that storm. Acts chapter 27, verse 25 says this, "So keep your courage, men, for I have faith in God that it will happen just as he told me." I have faith in God that it will happen. My faith is not in what I see. My faith is in what God says. I have faith in God that what he says will come to pass. I have faith in God that it will happen. My faith is not in the boat. My faith is in the one who commands the wind and the waves. My faith is not in the ship. My faith is in the one who created the trees that made the ship. I have faith in my God that it will happen, that he will see it through, and that he will be my deliverance and he will provide, and that my God will bring healing. That in the middle of this storm, I will experience his peace. I have faith in God that it will happen. Guys, here's the bottom line. You can't control when a storm blows up. You can't control how severe that storm is going to be. You can't control how long the storm's going to last. You can't control what people are going to say about you. You can't control what people do to you, but you can control what you believe. And you can control where you put your faith. And my faith is in the one who created the winds and the waves. My faith is in God. I have faith in God that he will do what he says, and what he says will come to pass. What he says will happen. And who is God? Well, in Psalm chapter 46, verses 1 through 3, it says, God is our refuge and strength. Like in the middle of our storm, he's our hiding place. He's our safety. He's our strength. He is always ready to help in times of trouble. Why? Because he is with us. He is by our side. And who is he? He is Emmanuel. He is God with us. And because he is with us, we will not fear when earthquakes come and the mountains crumble into the sea. Let the oceans roar and foam. Let the mountains tremble as the waters surge. We can say it this way. Even if the relationship does fall apart, even if the economy does get shaky, even if I do lose my job, I'm still not going to be afraid. Why? Because God is with me. Because he will never leave me, and because he will never forsake me. Because he is what I need. Because he is my safety. Because he is my strength. Because he is my shelter. He is my source. Because he is my redeemer, and he is my righteousness. Because he is a friend that sticks closer than a brother. Because he is a rock. Because he is the living bread, the bread of life. Because he is the living water that satisfies my soul. He's the gate through which I enter. He is the guide who directs my steps. He is my comforter that ministers to me in times of need. And he is my peace. And peace is not found in the absence of a storm, but peace is found in the presence of Jesus Christ. And he is with me. Look, the virgin will conceive and give birth to a son, and they will call him Emmanuel, which means God with us. And that's why you never let the storm around you make you doubt that God is with you. True peace is not found in the absence of storms and trials and troubles. That's part of life. But true peace is found in the presence of Emmanuel, God with us. My faith is not in what I see, but my faith is in what God says. And God says, this storm's not going to take you down Be at peace because God is with you. Would you pray with me today? God, we thank you for your presence in the middle of the storm. We thank you that you continue to be right beside us each and every step of the way. And when we go through difficulties in life, and we go through the trials and we go through the struggles that you tell us are going to come, and as we follow you, it doesn't mean life's going to be perfect. You tell us that these things will come into our lives. But don't fear. Don't be afraid. Don't worry about that. Take heart. You tell us that you have overcome the world. And as we walk with our lives right beside you in lockstep with you, we are also overcomers. Because greater is he who is in us than he who is in the world. And we can overcome what this world throws at us because we are walking in relationship with you. So my prayer is that we would recognize your presence in our lives, that we would never take it for granted, and that we wouldn't let the presence of the storms around us cause us to forget that you are right beside us. So many times we lose focus. We shift our eyes away from you and we move it to something else because those needs seem to be greater at the time. But that's not true. Our relationship with you, our focus on you is the key. So God, I'm so thankful that you are with us in all the seasons of life. Whether it's in the valleys, those are really, really tough times. The wilderness, where we are just dry and it's desolate and it takes a long time to wander through the wilderness. Or as storms just hit us that we can't control. God, thank you for your presence through all of it. And that's what you talk about whenever you talk about this idea of coming to this earth. To be a human being, you are saying you are Emmanuel, you are God with us. You didn't have to do it that way, but we are so thankful that you did. And today, if there's somebody who has recognized the presence of God and you want to give your heart and life over to Jesus, right now's the time. Give your life to the Lord. You can say, God, I admit to you that I'm a sinner and I fall short. But today I believe in you. And I believe that you sent your son to this earth to live a perfect life, to be God with us, to be the perfect sacrifice for my sins so that I can be forgiven. And I accept that free gift of grace that you give through your son, Jesus Christ. I want to follow him. I want to do what you've commanded me to do in Scripture. I want my life to be different because I've spent time with you and I'm in your presence. If you've made that decision, welcome to the family of God, and we celebrate with you. We believe that your life will be forever changed and transformed by the good news of the gospel of Jesus Christ. And it's so exciting that we get to live this life together. We can also walk beside each other. So God, help us to have the strength and the courage to keep on fighting for you. And as we walk through the storms, I believe that you are present with us, and these storms that we go through will be a testimony and a witness to others who go through storms as well. God, we love you, we praise you. It's in the name of Jesus we pray. And everybody said, amen.
Guys, listen, I have loved these messages from Pastor Tim. This whole series, God with Us, has been amazing. If you've missed any, I want to challenge you to go back and watch the ones you've missed. But today is all about the peace in the storm. You know, we think so many times, I hear people and even preachers say, you know, give your life to Jesus and everything will be great. But that's not what Jesus says. Jesus said, in this life you will have trouble, but take heart because he has overcome the world. And so I agree with Pastor Tim when he said, you're either just coming out of a storm, you're in a storm, or you're about to go into a storm. Because based on my life and the friends that I have, that's what I see as well. And listen, if you're trying to go through storms and you don't have the peace of Jesus, guys, I'm telling you, I don't know how you make it. I can't describe it. It is so amazing. And so if you just gave your life to Jesus today, we want to celebrate that with you. If you didn't, we want to help you take that step. If you need prayer, if you want to take another next step, whatever your step is today, go to the hub, hf.church/hub, fill out that form, and let us know what your next step is. It'll come straight to me, and I will reach out. I'll shoot you a text or an email. We can hop on Zoom and talk. Anything I can do to help you get connected to Jesus and get connected to Highlands Fellowship, I'm in. So let me know how I can help you. And again, if you're watching here today, text the word HERE, H-E-R-E, to this number right here below, and just let me know that you're watching today as well. That's another great way for me to know who's watching if you don't want to take any type of step, okay? Hey, listen, from our family to your family, I hope you have an incredible Christmas. And one last thing, if you don't have plans this Tuesday, come join us at one of our candlelight services at one of our campuses. We will not be having an online experience. We will be streaming live on Facebook, but we won't have our regular services like this online. So I challenge you, I would love for you to come to one of our Christmas candlelight services on Christmas Eve, this Tuesday night. For all the information, just go to the hub. And listen, I'll be at the Abington campus, so if you do come, please introduce yourself to me. I would love to meet you. If you're watching online and we haven't met, please find me and just say, hey, I watch online. It's love to meet you, okay? Merry Christmas. We love you, and I hope you have an incredible, incredible week.
Behold, what light has come in the